Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fluently Forward, especially everybody over on YouTube. That's kind of the reason why I'm doing this. People on YouTube ask for more YouTube video episodes on there. So we are going to kind of continue with the theme of Monday's episode, all about these Victoria's Secret models, and we're going to do like a little bit of a mini deep dive into Barbara Palvin. Although she now likes to be referred to as Barbara Sprouse because she is married to Dylan Sprouse. And I talked on Monday's episode about how they're such a cute couple. I love going down rabbit holes of them talking or smiling or dancing together. It's so cute. And we've always thought of Dylan Sprouse as the good Sprouse twin because Cole Sprouse obviously was on Riverdale. He dated Lily Reinhart. She said that he sucked donkey dick. And then everyone else that he ever dated said that he sucked donkey dick. Not just sucking the donkey dick, but in a really abusive, semi terrifying, this man is a narcissist way. And then we did another public episode on Fluently Forward. And that was a YouTube video as well, if you want to check it out, that I dressed up for because I was imitating him when he went on Call Her Daddy and smoked a cigarette and tried to talk about, I don't know, whatever the hell Alex Cooper was asking him. And there he was smoking his cigarette, which not even John Mayer on Call Her Daddy was smoking a cigarette. I think I read some comment online where they were like, thank you, Cole Sprouse. You did more to make smoking look uncool than any anti-smoking campaign could have done. And it was so true. You know, I'm not going to lie. I do think people smoking a cigarette, I just grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. Sometimes I see it and I'm like, damn, that's chic, even though smoking is horrible. I just think that it's chic, except when he does it. Good God. Anyway, that's all to say, when I was putting together this research doc, I was like, great, we're going to learn about Dylan and her because Dylan is the good twin. No, I don't think he is. He's kind of a little bit shifty. So we're going to talk all about that. Now, Barbara, I wanted to do a little bit of a mini deep dive on her because she is just, I'll throw up some pictures over on YouTube, but you probably know what she looks like already. She's this beautiful Hungarian model. She was born October 8th, 1993 in Budapest, Hungary. And she has some sort of beautiful look where it makes sense that she's a Victoria's Secret angel because she's beautiful, but also friendly, but also smiley, but also flirty, but also high fashion. She can do a million different looks with her face, and she just gives you the vibe. On Monday, I was kind of talking shit about Kendall Jenner. For Barbara, she gives me this vibe of someone where she would have been with you in high school and had good handwriting, but she also would have been nice to you. Whereas Kendall Jenner would have cyberbullied you anonymously on Tumblr or something like that. So let's get a little bit into Barbara, and then we'll talk about her timeline with Dylan and some things that I find odd about him. So she has a pretty interesting discovery story. Like I said, she was born in Budapest, and when she was 13, she was walking around on the streets of Budapest with her mother, and she was discovered by a modeling scout. Something about this, I don't know, I just always find it interesting. I think the idea of being scouted by a model has always been such a very entrancing idea. Now I kind of think of it as a little bit creepy, especially because she was 13. It's oh, you just walk around the streets looking for beautiful kids. Ugh, what the fuck, But what can I say? When I was a kid, every time I would be getting Auntie Anne's at the mall, I would be maybe this is where it happens. So she shot her first editorial in 2006 for Spur magazine. And then she moved to Asia and she had a bunch of bookings. She's been on the cover of everything. Vogue, Marie Claire, Glamour, Elle, GQ, Harper's Bazaar, Allure, all of these things. She's done campaign for Armani Exchange, H&M, Victoria's Secret, Pull & Bear. She became an ambassador for L'Oreal Paris in February 2012. And then she was a part of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit rookie class in 2016. Also in 2016, big year for her, she was ranked 4th in Maxim's Hot 100 and the equally as prestigious Tumblr's 2017 list of most popular models. And I'm including this here because Dylan and Cole Sprouse have a history with Tumblr. Oh my God, and I already brought it up too. This episode's going to have a little bit of Tumblr popping up throughout it, just FYI. So she went to the Victoria's Secret fashion show in 2018, and then the next year she became the first Hungarian Victoria's Secret angel. Now, it was interesting because when she was deemed an official angel, a lot of people were like, wow, she is the first plus size Victoria's Secret angel. And when we've all seen Barbara Palvin, when I saw that, I was like, that's fucking insane. Did they really say that? Like, I knew Victoria's Secret was messed up, but to call Barbara a plus size angel, like what even is going on? And I just feel like there's so many aspects to being a woman that are frustrating in a variety of different ways. But I think it's just the, for example, like for men's sizing, they have the length of what the waist is and of what whatever the hell it is, waist, the length, the waist to floor and then around your waist, basically. The fact that you could be like a 2, a 4, a 8, like all of these different places. Lululemon is horrible with it. Free People is like a different size than Zara is, which is a different size than Banana Republic. Like, it's so frustrating. So anyway, when I read this with Victoria's Secret, which by the way, even they are famous for, I know people call it like vanity sizing, but I remember being a B cup in like college and going to Victoria's Secret and they were like, wow, you are a D. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, anyway. So when I saw that Victoria's Secret was calling Barbara plus size, I was like, what the hell is going on? Now, it turns out it wasn't Victoria's Secret who did this. It was actually us. It was the general public. So Victoria's Secret posted a photo of her when she became an angel. It's this beautiful photo. I'll put it up here. She's kind of in like Victoria's Secret panties and like a crop top. And all of the comments are saying, so good to see a healthy looking, not anorexic model. Well done, Victoria's Secret. I'm so proud that you're finally using real women in your campaigns. Nice. They got a thick one with some emojis and all of these things. So it was actually the general public that kind of started this narrative, I think. And it's very shocking to me too, because she became the first Victoria's Secret angel, Hungarian Victoria's Secret angel in 2019. So it's not even like the general public was saying that in like 2002 or something. So I just found that very interesting, not to defend Victoria's Secret, but still. Something else that I just find personally interesting to her is that if you are reading ACOTAR like I am, I'm currently on the 4th book of the ACOTAR series, if you are also into fairy smut. She is fan cast as the main character Feyre a lot for ACOTAR, and I kind of see it. I think she would be really good at it. Okay, so let's get into her timeline with Dylan Sprouse. So in 2017, they meet each other at a party, and after the event, Dylan slides into Barbara's DMs. He said, quote, "She followed me, so I was like, I guess I'll give her something," and I slid into her DMs. I guess I'll give her something. Like, please, you are probably foaming at the mouth, but whatever. This is what he told W Magazine in 2019. He continues, "I was like, hey, I don't know if you're in New York for very long, but we should hang out if you want to. Here's my number." And she didn't message me for 6 months, which, first of all, I don't think I would respond to that either, because asking someone, especially a guy asking a girl, we should hang out if you want to. Number one, I fucking hate this one. This was like an epidemic for me when I was dating in New York. All of these guys being like, should hang out. I don't even ask my girlfriends to hang out. Like, I have an idea. We should do vision boards. We should go thrift shopping together. Do you want to come over and make a hear me out cake? Like, do you want to go grab cocktails? Like, you have a plan in mind, and I just fucking hate it. And I don't know a single girl who likes it. I fucking hate it. We all hate it when men are like, you want to hang out? I haven't hung out with any, like, anyway, whatever. And then also, we should hang out if you want to. Like, it's just like so fucking classic. Anyway, whatever. So she didn't message him for 6 months. And she's talked about this in a cute interview that she did, saying, "We met over 5 years ago. You know what? I'll take it. We've been dating for 5 years officially, but we actually met like 8 months before at an event. That was just a short interaction. And then I ghosted him for 6 months until I got myself back into the picture." So maybe she was just, I don't know, looking to get her life a little bit more together. Now, they have a very interesting, like, how they started dating story that I think I've talked about before on the podcast. So Dylan Sprouse was heading to China for a 6-month shoot, and she ended up texting him back around that time. She apparently was supposed to have some sort of work in China as well, but then that scheduled gig got canceled. So she actually was like, you know what? I still kind of want to fly to China and like come meet up with you. Is that crazy? She said, quote, "I kind of flew to China to see him after talking for 3 months." She asked Sprouse if it was crazy that she still wanted to come to China to see him, and recalled his response, quote, "Please come." I hope she said to him, I want to hang out in China if you want to, Or if you want to hang out in China, let me know. She then said that he asked her if she wanted to be exclusive, but she told him that she had to get to know him more. And then she kind of talked herself into it. She said, quote, "And then I was like, okay, let's do it. I just sat down, took a deep breath, and I'm like, what am I waiting for? There's no other guy I would love more than I love him, and he's got everything that I need." So they officially started dating in June 2018. Then they moved in together in Brooklyn, New York in January 2019, so under a year. They did a photo together on Instagram, quote, "We moved in, we only had 4 mental breakdowns." And then another selfie posted with 2 worms officially in the Big Apple. So even though they lived together by February 2019, she hadn't met his other, more evil twin, Cole Sprouse. Whatever, more on Cole later. So anyway, she meets him later. Just few notable things about their relationship. This one I had to pull out because I am a millennial, so it's going to be hypocritical, but there was just something so Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds about what I'm about to tell you. And normally I don't think that Barbara and Dylan are like a Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, or like John Legend, Chrissy Teigen. Like, look at us, we're the best couple. Like, people think well of them, but they do a good job of not being so like annoying and BuzzFeed listicle in your face about it, except for this thing that happened, okay? April 7th, 2019, Dylan Sprouse takes over Barbara Palvin's Instagram by posting a selfie on her account. And it actually wasn't. I don't know why the news article said that. I'll put the photo here, but it was a picture of the two of them. And I guess she wanted help with a caption. And he writes, "Hey guys, it's Dylan. Babs has tasked me to write a caption before we watch another episode, so I'm just writing anything to get this over with. Please don't judge me for this. I'm tired and lazy and just want to watch anime now. Insert witty quip here. Cheers." It's just, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just giving Ryan Reynolds. And like, I'm probably embarrassed by it. You know that quote where they're like, what you hate in other people is what you hate the most in yourself, which by the way, I've never liked that. Like, I hate when people are late and I'm always on time. So like, it just doesn't apply to so many things, but it does for this. Cause like I used to write stuff like this on Facebook back in the day and it just like makes me want to cringe. Anyway, whatever. That was like a little cringy moment. September 2022, in an interview conducted by Cole Sprouse for V Magazine, the couple reveals that they got engaged in September 2022, and then they got married in July 2023. So before we get into some odd things about Dylan, I just want to pull some internet comments on them just to get a little bit of feel. You know, how does everybody feel about this couple? Somebody said, "I don't like Dylan, but my heart swelled when I read once in a blind that their food didn't come out at the same time, so he gave her his plate and drink. It's a cute small gesture, but I'm sure it counts." And he does, like, you just get the vibe that he loves her so much and like puts her first. And it's just really nice to see. And it's like not annoying. I just think it's really cute. Somebody said they do look very alike, but it's also apparently a common phenomenon to choose partners who look like you. It is, especially if you're gay. It's called doppelbanging. I think it's pretty funny. People say that they look alike. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm pretty sure that Dylan Sprouse now is rocking like the long hair and the mustache, which like I am personally like not a fan of. But I think when his hair was shorter, maybe they looked a little bit alike. This was interesting. Somebody said also she helped her folks back in Hungary purchase land and they run a wedding venue. So they might be tying the knot there. I hope so because her parents were so sweet and I really wanted that. They did get married in Hungary, so maybe. Now, there was a lot of internet talk about some sort of COVID house series that they did on the web together where they were like working in real estate or fixing up a house or something like that. This kind of sums up what everyone was saying online. I always liked them together. She's absolutely gorgeous, and after watching their COVID house series, I think that they do genuinely love each other, despite him making some patronizing comments to Barbara under the guise of humor. I heard he treated his ex Dana horribly. I worked with a girl who's best friends with Dana, but hoping he's matured and him and Barbara work out. I kind of want to find their COVID house series. Some people were saying that it might be off the internet now. People were saying that he was just making jokes. He like made fun of her accent at one point, and he just seemed a little bit condescending. So if you've seen that, let me know what you thought of it. Okay, let's get into weird things about Dylan. And I went into this being like, oh my God, Cole's the evil twin and we love Dylan. And unfortunately, the more stuff I looked up about him, I was just like, he just seems a little, not like evil, not bad, just he's a child star, right? So like any child star is going to do things that the average person like you and me who grew up, with Kirkland brand products in our house and then worked a 9 to 5 and all of these things, like they're just a little bit out of touch. Okay. That's a nice way to phrase it. Now let me get bitchy. Okay. So this was one of the interesting things that he does. He's multiple times now kind of shat on other child actors for talking about their experience of being a child actor in a negative light, which of course you are. Like there's a lot of horrible things that happen to child actors, especially child actors who were famous in like the early 2000s. It just like wasn't a good vibe. So there was this New York essay where Joe Jonas, whatever, but he was talking about how being discovered by Disney was like a blessing and a curse. And he wrote this essay, some quotes from it. He said, "Disney is great at creating fame. They've done it with so many pop stars and young actors, from Hilary Duff to the High School Musical crew. Being part of a company like that comes with certain expectations. Not overtly, but there was a subtle vibe. We were working with Disney in 2007 when the Vanessa Hudgens nude photo scandal happened. We heard that she had to be in the Disney offices for a whole day because they were trying to figure out how to keep her on lockdown. We would hear execs talking about it, and they would tell us that they were so proud of us for not making the same mistakes, which made us feel like we couldn't ever mess up. We didn't want to disappoint anyone, our parents, our fans, our employers, so we put incredible pressure on ourselves, the kind of pressure that no teenager should be under." He also said Disney made us more famous than we ever knew we could be, and blah, blah, blah. So then Dylan responded to Joe Jonas's piece on Tumblr. And first of all, I just don't like that the Sprouse twins have been on Tumblr. Like that just makes me a little bit suspicious. I just don't like a man being on Tumblr. Like not a man, but like a straight, famous man. Like what are you doing on Tumblr? Like Tumblr, like I grew up with Tumblr in high school. I was pretty good at Tumblr back in the day. Okay. And by good at it, I just meant like I blogged way too revealing, but I had a pretty good audience. Anyway, I just don't like the idea of them being on Tumblr. I can't really put it into words right now, but I just feel like if you were also on Tumblr in high school, like something about the Sprouse twins being on there, I don't know. I just don't like it. All right. So this is how Dylan responded to Joe Jonas, quote, "I think it's bullshit that they were being robbed of choice or creativity. If they wanted to, they could have told Disney no. Cole and I did this hundreds of times and we ended up all right. The only reason they didn't is because, like many of the people on that channel, I think they fell for the allure of fame." Which, by the way, like when you're a child, ooh, you fell for what the Disney execs were doing. Yeah, you're a fucking kid and you have an entire board of directors working to try to make money and exploit you. They fell for it. Like, please, okay, whatever, I'll continue. Granted, Cole and I had been acting our entire lives, so we saw it as a means to an end, parentheses, money making, rather than an opportunity to become successful. Nowadays, artists just assume that they have to do what they are told by their proprietors because there is a rigid structure to achievement. It is nothing more than a scheme to rob you of your individuality and capitalize the gain they acquire from such treachery. I feel like I'm going to fucking vomit. Okay, sorry, I'm going to continue and then I'll get into it. If you believe this, not only are you incredibly foolish, but you are a bad artist. Individuality is modernity's most interesting trait regarding artwork, and so many talented individuals realize this. You were on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and then you did Sweet Life on Deck. Let's calm down with the talk about artistry and individuality and originality and authenticity. You were a mischievous guy who lived in a hotel and you played with silly string and then you tried to steal chocolate from the candy factory. Like, let's just take it down a few notches on your Tumblr post. My God, like, where in the fuck is this coming from? Like, granted, it was maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago when he posted this, but I just think that that's like such a bizarre response, and it gives me the double ick because we all saw Cole go on Call Her Daddy and like try to use these flowery words. And I talked about it. Of course, you should really go check out my public episode where I talk more about Cole Sprouse and his interview. But one of the frustrating things that Cole did on Call Her Daddy was using what I like to call New York Times language. Like, I like to think of myself as a low-key academic, right? You know, I was in all of the honors and AP classes. I went to Rice University, sociology major, all of this shit, you know? But I fucking hate when people are like, and I don't know why, I just hate when people are like pretentious and condescending with the language. All the way from like the way that the New York Times writes an article to honestly, even when it feels like Taylor Swift is kind of trying to shoehorn really big words into songs. And it's like, bigger doesn't always mean better, and more complicated doesn't always mean more complex. Sometimes the most powerful, I always said, and I don't know why this stuck with me, but Alyssa Violet, when she was talking about what it was like dating Jake Paul and how he, was horribly abusive to her and all of this thing, in her iconic video in the white sweatshirt on YouTube where she's talking about what he did to her, the main sentence that stuck out of it, and maybe it's because she just said it with so much emotion and so honestly, is when she was just like, I'm hurt still. She's just like, I'm hurt still. And you've hurt me and you've hurt a lot of people. And that just boils it all down, right? Like all of the flowery language aside, like what's going on, I'm hurt still. Like you really, really hurt me. And like it's still affecting me. And that was more powerful to me than any of like, big languages or poems that people put together. Anyway, I'm going off topic, but that was one of the things that Cole did in Call Her Daddy that was really annoying. And then the second thing that he did was try to play two sides of the opposite coin, where for half of the interview, he was like, yeah, like you could grab a beer with me at the airport. Like, come on, man. Like, yeah, I'm just like one of the people. And then the other half of the interview, he would be like twiddling around his cigarette being like, well, actually, when you look at what Aristotle and Socrates said, it really comes down to the simplicity of a single complex thought that is true between all of us. And if you engage all of our minds in this collective thinking, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, my God, like it was just very, very annoying. And in Dylan's Tumblr response, you can just see that they fell for the allure of fame. He's talking about when he was a child on Disney Channel. Let's like hold back the judgment a little bit, right? We saw it as a means to an end, parentheses, money making. Thanks for clearing that up. Or also, artists assume, which by the way, like artists, if you're acting on Disney Channel, no shade, like sure, you're an actor, but you're not crafting the lines yourself. You're not coming up with improv. You're not script writing. You're not like putting your own take on the character. Like you are fulfilling kind of a franchise role in a series that somebody else tells you how to do, but whatever. Artists assume that they have to do what they are told by their proprietors. Shut the fuck up. It's nothing more than a scheme to rob you of your individuality and capitalize the gain they acquire from such treachery. He sounds exhausting, doesn't he? So, also, real quick before we move on to Dylan tone policing Joe Jonas again. Cole was also on Tumblr, which is double insidious to me. And like, apparently there was this stuff I was reading online where like Cole was on Tumblr. He got into this fight with some sort of anonymous user, and then he wrote a really long post about how he was like deleting his entire account, and the whole thing was actually a social experiment, and he's a chameleon who changes color based on the environment for success. And it's just like, honestly, like I can't, like I feel like I'm gonna crawl out of my own skin. And like that is kind of what Tumblr was back in the day, but to think that the Sprouse twins were engaging in it is just like kind of like, I don't know, I just feel like there's bubbles under my skin or something. So anyway, you might think, hey Shannon, Dylan said those things 10 years ago, like cut him some slack. He has changed, he has evolved. And I would say, has he? Because when Quiet on Set came out, which I remember watching it in the basement of this house, so it happened in the last like 6 months, very recently, he was on radio with Andy Cohen, and Andy asked Dylan if he had checked out Quiet on Set, which we all know talks about Nickelodeon specifically and what it was like for those child actors. And this is where we got the reveal that Drake Bell had been sexually abused, molested, violated by Brian Peck, I believe, who oddly enough, I think went to go then work on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. And all of the Dan Schneider and just like how toxic and abusive the workplace was, especially for kids, all of the sexual innuendos. Like we obviously have covered Quiet on Set, which you should also check out if you haven't yet for the public episode. It was a long time coming. And this wasn't just like, oh, a hint, like people have been saying rumors. Like Drake Bell came out and talked about everything that had happened with him. And it was a hard watch, but I think it was an important watch. So anyway, Andy Cohen asked Dylan Sprouse if he has checked out Quiet on Set, and he says he barely watches live actions or TV. He spends much of his time watching anime and jerking off to porn on Tumblr. No, oh no, I put that part in. Okay, and this is what he says. My experience was always great, you know? I mean, yeah, my experience was always great. So, you know, if I watch it, also, I think by the time I get around to watching it, if it's like a year later talking about it, it's no longer interesting anymore. I'm like, all right. So Andy Cohen then asked Sprouse if there's any part of being a child actor where he feels like he needs to mourn or what he didn't have when he was working. And here's how he responded. No, not at all. And I find it really annoying when people do. I'm like, dude, you had a great opportunity. I mean, it provided me everything in my life that I love currently, and it's a great platform for me. And I mean, it put me through college, and I have a house, and I have a lovely wife who I wouldn't have met unless I did something like that. I mean, I just find it really strange and bratty to do the opposite. Like, oh, my hindsight, like I didn't like what I didn't, you know, shut up. Okay. Drake Bell got sodomized by his fucking vocal coach multiple times. Like, I don't mean to be crass about it, but like, what in the fuck? And like, I get it. He hasn't watched it, but that was what all of the headlines were, you know? So even if you didn't watch it, like that is what people took away from it basically, was that Drake Bell was the big bombshell to come out, of which, by the way, I think there are plenty of more bombshells behind the scenes that have not come out. Am I using bombshell correctly? I don't mean like Victoria's Secret bombshell. I mean, no, I think it's bombshell. Anyway, so to have that as a response, and even if for some bizarre fact, like you're plugged into the child actor world, I knew what was going on with Quiet on Set. Like everyone did. Anyway, but if for some reason he's really just watching anime all day long and like has no idea what happened, to know what Quiet on Set is about and make it into this thing where he thinks that it's strange and bratty and it's just people saying that in hindsight they don't like it and stuff. Honestly, like it's giving Candace Owens, whatever, talking about Armie Hammer and Andrew Tate, where she's like, these women agreed to it, and then afterwards they said that it was rape. It's like, what in the fuck? So this is something that he said recently, and sure, he didn't watch it, but like, what type of attitude do you even need to have? If you had such a fun job being a child actor, why couldn't you retain any of the media training that you had from that time? Because you're coming off like a mega dick in all of this. So people said, I don't know, people said apparently there were issues at home, right? Cole talked about this a little bit on Call Her Daddy. They were living with their abusive, controlling, drug-addicted mother, and apparently the mother was pretty open about the fact that she favored Cole over him, but also I don't think that excuses like the Quiet on Set things that he said recently, but this is what people are saying about in the past. Another thing that I do want to bring up too, their manager when they were child stars, Dylan and Cole, his name is Josh Workman, and he was arrested for child molestation. So like, how can he be saying these things about Quiet on Set? This was years ago. He was arrested for, I think like providing a minor with alcohol. It was a 16-year-old male. And then he was also arrested for felony sexual battery by restraint. His lawyer said, quote, Josh admitted he annoyed an individual who was a minor and provided that person with alcohol on the day in question. He acknowledged that he used bad judgment on that occasion, and that is why he pleaded no contest to the 2 charges. How frustrating is it as well? All of these assholes, lawyers. He annoyed an individual who is a minor. He sexually assaulted a child. Like, my God, the way that they changed the language on it is just like so frustrating. So anyway, all the way back to the original him mogging on Joe Jonas is basically, there is a little bit of a pattern that I notice with these male child stars, and it does kind of come back to Reddit, because when we did, I will shout out another public episode we've done all about the Jonas Brothers and then Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. Something that always stuck with me was back in the day, Joe Jonas did a Reddit AMA, and he was so try hard in this stupid AMA. That's where he outs that I think Ashley Green, right, was the woman he lost his virginity to, which like she didn't want the entire world to know that. Like, why are you talking about it? He's telling stories about getting condoms. He's like trying to be cool on Reddit. And I just find it very interesting because Dylan also did a Reddit AMA. And just like Joe Jonas, he's like trying to give kind of like quippy, witty, cool, off the cuff answers. And it's like, you guys are both unhealed. You just are. Like, which of course you are. You were a child actor. You were on Disney Channel, Purity Rings. Everyone thinks of you as a little kid, even when you're all grown up. I kind of wonder what that's going to be like for the Stranger Things kids or the Game of Thrones kids. Like, it's different because they're on cooler networks. But if you're a child star for children, not for adults, you kind of have a little bit of a losery reputation. You just do. So then when you get older, you see these people acting out by trying to get cool points with people online. Okay, should we get into some of the blind items? Oh, this is one thing too. So a lot of people, there was this rumor going around because there was a blind item that says this lesser known actor sibling of someone most of you know, Dylan Sprouse, has been cheating on his longtime girlfriend with the lingerie model / permanent yachter who literally has been yachting since she was 17 or 18. We're just going to ignore the yachting part for now. But that's basically saying that Dylan Sprouse cheated on his girlfriend, Dana Fraser, with Barbara Palvin. And that's like when they got together, maybe there was some overlap or he cheated on her or something like that. Now, I just want to come out and read Dylan's response to all of this because he was 25, I believe, when this happened. So it was right in between him mocking on Joe Jonas and then mocking on Drake Bell and all of the Nickelodeon kids. His ex had posted something, I believe, like on Instagram. So then he took to Twitter to respond to it. And honestly, like, take some Zofran because what I'm about to tell you is his response was very similar to his Tumblr essay. All right. She was basically like, he cheated on me, and he goes on to address it. Here's what he says on Twitter. I will say this and only this. By adhering to an assumption based on limited information, you neglect the complicated nature of this issue. Immediately, he cheated. Like, you're a cheater. Like, I don't even need to read the rest. Like, I just know that you cheated because of that. Okay, we can continue. The truth always has two sides. You cheated. You cheated. Okay, I'll continue. The truth always has two sides, and those sides have motivations. And those motivations, despite how cloudy they currently seem, are private. This is complicated, and it will remain complicated, but those who know me and who have known me know well enough what kind of a person I am. Sure, Ariana Grande is looking at it now and going, damn, Dylan, you did the damn thing. That's what I should have said about my situation. It's complicated, and it will remain complicated. And, you know, the truth always has two sides, and those sides have motivations, and those motivations have sides, and those sides have motivations, and those motivations have feelings, and the feelings have the truth. Like, it's the most stupid, like, obviously he cheated. To me, this is like, anyway, we stand with his ex-girlfriend. All right, so let's get into the blinds of Barbara, who I love, and Dylan, who I now am starting to hate. Here we go. This lesser-known actor from an acting family refused to let his foreign-born A-list model take any photos with men at big events this weekend. Or at a big event this weekend. I don't know. I will say I saw the clip where he was at the latest Victoria's Secret fashion show, and they were like, are you looking forward to seeing any other women out there? And he was like, nope, no one, only my wife. And like, I did think that was pretty cute. What can I say? I thought that was cute. Okay, the next blind item. While his celebrity wife was overseas, this actor from an acting family was hooking up with a barely legal influencer who was bragging about it on social media. Now, this one I'm going to say, I don't really see this happening. There was only one blind item about it, and then one of the blind item accounts on TikTok talked about it. So then a bunch of news articles were written about it, but it literally was the only blind item. For an influencer being braggadocious about it on social media, I didn't see any hint of who the influencer would have been or anyone doing anything or even like a picture of him doing anything. So I'm going to write that one off as libel. Okay. We're going to get into Barbara Palvin and some of the people that she was with in her past because, my God, you're going to recognize all of their names. So this was a blind item from 2016. Speaking of the subject number 2, Justin Bieber, he once hooked up with a Victoria's Secret model who was looking for some publicity. She got it, but couldn't make it stick. She has a plan now, though, and is fully on board for the fake girlfriend thing for another former A+ list tweener turned A- list singer. And that is Nick Jonas. So this was basically alleging that she hooked up with Justin Bieber back in 2016, which a lot of people think happened. We'll be talking about that later. And that she was going to beard for Nick Jonas. Oh my God. I kind of want to make merch that says beard for Nick Jonas because it just comes up so often in the blind items, but that would not be a good idea. Okay. There were news articles about her and Nick Jonas after this. They went out a few times. A few rags said that they were dating, but then it kind of died out quickly. So maybe there's some legs to it. I don't know. Let's get into the Justin Bieber, Barbara Palvin, Selena Gomez love triangle because this is good. I really like digging into it. So this blind item says, here's an early Christmas gift for you. This very popular young celeb, Justin Bieber, got himself into some very hot water while hosting a holiday event recently. He didn't take his hosting responsibilities very seriously. He smoked joints backstage, was 15 minutes late for the meet and greet, and then stayed at the event for only 20 minutes. He didn't even stay to hang out and eat and drink with the other celebs like he usually does. Why so unprofessional? Because he was really hungry for just one thing, the model who was waiting for him back on the tour bus. Did we mention that our celeb has a celebrity girlfriend who he claims to love, Selena Gomez? The girlfriend wasn't there at the event, but her cousin was. When the cousin got wind of what was happening, she went absolutely ballistic. She tried to get on the tour bus, but was blocked by his friends. She walked away swearing up a storm and later very publicly told the young celeb to go fuck yourself. The celeb and his girlfriend will not be spending the holidays together. So I don't know if that celeb is true, or sorry, if that blind item is true, but we know that Justin Bieber cheated on Selena Gomez. We just don't know, was it with Barbara Palvin or not? So let's dive in. There was a lot of photos and kind of content of her and Justin Bieber around that time, like 2016 to 2014 kind of. Very interestingly, there was a video of them at one of these yacht parties, probably somewhere in Europe or something, where she goes onto the yacht party and she has Gigi Hadid in tow with her, but like nobody knows who Gigi Hadid is yet. It was so fun. Don't you love when you see that? Like it's like when Paris Hilton would have what's her face? Kim Kardashian with her before she got famous, or when Kylie Jenner would be out with Hailey Bieber, but like nobody would be paying attention to Hailey at the time, Baldwin. Oh, I just find it so interesting how they act before like they blow up and become a huge star on their own. So anyway, there was like a video of them on the yacht. Sure, they could be friends, but at one point she kind of strokes his face. I don't really stroke my friends' faces. Anyway, you could look it up on YouTube if you want. Just type in like Justin Bieber, Barbara Palvin, yacht, and then you could see young Gigi Hadid in it. Okay. We'll get to another thing later. So they meet at the Victoria's Secret fashion show, Justin and Barbara, and they take this picture there, which I'll put it up here on YouTube. You've probably seen it before. It's like an iconic picture. Justin Bieber over the years has posted so many girls randomly, like Madison Beer, Cindy Kimberly, Barbara Palvin, and like, first of all, he's got great taste. They're all so beautiful. But secondly, I find it kind of interesting and like, you know how Trisha Paytas like once posted on Frenemies like a picture of a bunch of like grocery items because she like wanted Ethan to pick it up and then they could make grilled cheeses together. I wonder if that's what Justin Bieber does with just like randomly posting pictures of like beautiful women. And he's like, no, that's me saying that like I want to fuck them or something. Who knows? So after the Victoria's Secret fashion show, Barbara and Justin go out to see The Lion King on Broadway. And they go with a group of people, and Barbara says about it, quote, "It was my sister's first time in New York, and we so wanted to go to Broadway, but there were no more tickets. I just came up and was telling him, my sister is here, but she's sad because we can't go to Broadway, no more tickets." And he was like, well, I can get you one. And his friends came. It was like 6 people, and then me, my sister, and my agent. So it was friends. And sure, I'm sure that you did go as a big group of people, but I'm also sure that, I don't know if your uncle came up to him and was like, Justin, I want tickets. I don't know if your uncle would have gotten the tickets. Like, let's just be honest, you know? So they go to the Broadway show together. And there's this picture that Barbara posts, and it's like Justin and someone else, and like her head is in the background making like a funny face or something. And Selena sees that photo posted, and she like reposts it or retweets it, whatever, with the caption of ... Honestly, I have to say hats off. Like, people were just so openly messy back then in that era, and it was fantastic. So obviously Selena Gomez is kind of sending her minions, kill Barbara Palvin with her ellipsis memo, and basically saying like, what is this girl doing hanging out with Justin Bieber? Why is he hanging out with a Victoria's Secret model? Now, I think if I probably had seen or been a part of this back in the day, maybe it came across my internet as I was on Tumblr or something, I probably would have been like, oh my God, he's hanging out with a Victoria's Secret model. That I feel so bad for Selena. But now that we know a little bit more about how Selena Gomez operates, don't you kind of look at that and you're like, wait a minute, Selena Gomez is kind of incredibly fucking messy for doing that. And apparently, Barbara spoke to a source and she was like, I'm okay to talk about it because I know that there's nothing going on here. It's ridiculous how this got to be news. Apparently, she had some sort of boyfriend back home and she was like, my boyfriend's upset about it or blah, blah, blah. That being said, I could totally see her and Justin Bieber hooking up. So I don't know if they hooked up. We know that Selena was messy. Was she messy because they were hooking up or was she messy just because she was suspicious? We don't know. The rumors continued. Apparently, people said that they were hanging out together in Miami, Barbara and Justin. She said that she wasn't. It was just, she was in front of some tour buses and people thought it was his, but it actually wasn't. But maybe it was. I don't know. And then she said something that I thought was pretty interesting. She said, Justin and I don't stay in touch. I more talk with his manager, Scooter. His father is Hungarian, so there's this Hungarian connection, and I talk with him. Scooter's always in some weird business, isn't he? Now, something else that was interesting is in 2019, so after Barbara had like kind of just started dating Dylan seriously, Justin, in kind of a very Britney Spears-esque Instagram moment, randomly posted this image of like him as a child and then Cole and Dylan Sprouse as children. And he said, he was just like, wow, don't I like look so much like the Sprouse twins? Like when I was younger, like I could have played them back on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Like we all look so similar or something like that. It was like this random collage on Instagram. And Barbara was asked about it on the red carpet. Like, what do you think about Justin Bieber's post? And she said, no one can be compared to the Sprouse twins. She's very good at, she's always very light and playful in these different interviews. But part of me thinks maybe they did date. Or maybe they did at least hook up back then. Because then when she seriously starts dating Dylan and being public with him, Justin Bieber's like, wait a minute, I don't like the fact that she's with another guy. Let me post this, weird ass collage to Instagram and try to stir some people up. But you might be wondering, who has Barbara Palvin dated over the years? My God, let's run through the names. So she has been linked, and she says that all of these people are her friends, but who knows, to Lewis Hamilton. I think he's like that race car driver situation. Neymar, I think, who's some sort of like soccer player. And there's a paparazzi photo of her leaving East London in different clothes and wearing no makeup seconds before Neymar. I don't know who this Neymar guy is. Somebody is probably screaming right now because they know who it is. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to look it up. But it's really funny, this photo. I'll post it on YouTube. She's just in like a big white t-shirt and like white boxer shorts or something like that. What looks like leaving a hotel, because in the back it says inquire at the concierge desk. I would love to have a one-night stand so bold as that. Or not a one-night stand, uber of shame. She was also linked to this English singer-songwriter Julian Peretta, something like that. Obviously, Justin Bieber was in there. There's a photo of her with Leonardo DiCaprio, and there were different reports that she was also dating him and that he was dating her among a bunch of other people. From One Direction, Niall Horan. Horan, is that how you say it? Niall, the Irish one. Okay, I'm not like a huge 1D person. But yeah, there were like photos of them together. There were some reports that they were dating, that romance fizzled out due to the distance between them. And I do find it interesting that Selena Gomez then kind of had something start up a little bit with Niall. Revenge dating, perhaps? Who's to say? Weirdly enough, Ed Sheeran was hanging out with her. And like, I know I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, like anyone she's hanging out with, she must have dated. But this one was weird because like they were spotted at this burger bar in Sydney, Australia, and then they made separate exits. But then later they were seen leaving in the same limo, which then took them to a bar where they continued their night. So like they were definitely like having some sort of go to a second location situation. Then, of course, she was linked to Formula One, Lewis Hamilton. Who else? Oh, this one I had so much fun looking up. If you are also on TikTok all the time like me, you know Lucky Blue Smith of Nara Smith, the guy with the toothpick, okay? Well, apparently he was like this huge model, also on Tumblr, I believe. Tumblr keeps coming back and forth in here. Barbara dated Lucky Blue Smith. Is that his last name? I think it's just Lucky Blue. Or Lucky Blue Smith, whatever. So when he was 17, there was this interview that he did where he said, quote, they were like asking him about his newfound fame as a model. And he said, quote, I mean, I'm sure it's great, but I just want to meet girls. He laughed. That's the best part of this whole circus. I'm a very flirtatious person. There's one model, Barbara Palvin. She is smoking. If she reads this, and then he leaned in directly to the dictaphone, I'd love to work with her. Quote, he cackles and curls his top lip like Snapchat's young Elvis. So then after that, in 2016, they went to some sort of gala together. They went to like another gala. They're pictured together. They're kissing each other on the cheek, but still kissing each other. Damn, who would have thought? Lucky and Barbara. So I'll put some pictures of that on YouTube. So anyway, from Lucky to Justin to maybe Ed Sheeran or Niall or this Lewis Hamilton guy or some footballer whose name I absolutely butchered and don't know anything about, and Leonardo DiCaprio. There's been all of these different people. Obviously, I would love to throw my hat in the ring as well. Like, how could you look at her and be a famous man and like not try to shoot your shot? She like really is something special. So I will say my takeaway is that I think she really must be in love with Dylan Sprouse because not to sound like such a raging bitch, but like she could have had anyone else. Like she honestly really was like the hot it girl. And it's not like Dylan is the, richest or the sexiest or like the most world renowned actor or anything like that. So to me, it's just a sign that there's like true love between them and you just can't beat love, which is nice. Although Dylan is kind of giving me sus vibes after reading all of his quotes and his Tumblr monologue and how he thinks that quiet on set is people being bratty and acting out and how he absolutely cheated on his ex-girlfriend and then did a very annoying response to it. So let me know what you think about all of this. I will say I still think that they're a cute couple, but Barbara Palvin Sprouse could probably be in a fan edit of her with like a trash can or like a dead owl. And I would be like, oh, look at the chemistry between them. You know what I mean? So anyway, that is a little bit about Barbara and Dylan Sprouse. Let me know what you think about all of this. And if anyone has like been around for like when they were on Tumblr or when Cole said that like he was deleting his entire Tumblr account because the whole thing was like a social experiment and like he's so fucking cool. And then he like lit up a cigarette. I'm dying to know what happened with that too, even though like I need to like take some deep breaths after this. Like I've been so embarrassed like reading all of these quotes, but once I take some deep breaths, I want to dive back in and see just how embarrassing it was. So let me know what you think of that. And I will see you guys on Monday for another episode of Fluently Forward. Bye guys.